right, so this is 1 week later and I am done. I finished the rig. This is the final form, at least for now, at least for a while, until I find additional stuff to do to it. But to be fair, I am completely relieved that I can finally just sit down and enjoy racing and have an immersive experience. So I can also say that I've kind of created a monster. Is definitely not the prettiest sight to see. So if you're offended by lack of design and let's just call it ugliness in terms of aspect, I would suggest that you turn away and run away really quickly. This is not the most beautiful rig ever. Probably it can be classified as one of the ugliest ones. But again, it is, I've set it up in such a way that is as immersive as possible. So again, if you're offended by ugly things, I suggest you turn off this video, because I'm going to reveal it right now. So 3, 2, 1, here's the rig. Alright, so I'm building this thing to be more like a cockpit, where there's not a lot of space around, and one of the first things that I've done was to put this material around it to cover the pedals and the bottom side so that you can't see any wall and there's no light coming in and any of that. The material is a bit thin, so you do have a bit of light, so when it's light outside you can see a tiny bit through it. I've seen other sim racers actually use some blinds, proper thick blinds, but those were expensive, so I said I'm just gonna buy this. I paid like £5 for it on Amazon, and it goes all around the rig, yeah, so from side to side, and it does a pretty good job. And I attached it because I have this aluminium profile thing. I've just attached some T-bolts, T-nuts there, and the bolts in, and it just goes like that. Pretty simple. It covers the whole thing up to the bottom, and it makes it you feel a lot more like you're in an enclosed environment rather than in a big room with windows and all of that stuff. The other thing that I've done, I'll lift this up, was to put counterweights attached to my rig like that. And this is because the rig was tilting forward a bit, and it wasn't really balanced. So, and also my ground here is pretty, I don't know, squashy. So I had to put some counterweight. So what I've done was I had these bags, so I went to the beach. I live quite close to the beach. I went to the beach and filled this with rocks. So they're rocks in here, and they're quite solid. And I attached like this big bolt here. It's pretty solid. It's into the aluminium frame, and now the whole thing is balanced on the back, and it has the center of gravity quite on the back and also quite low. So the screen's weight does not, you can't, basically the rig doesn't feel the screen weight that much. And I've also added these nice metal plates on the ground. Again, bought these from Amazon. I think they're aluminium or such, but it gives this nice effect in the rig. If I show you a bit, yeah, so it looks more like the flooring of a car rather than having this, I don't know, this carpet thing. So I think that was a good acquisition as well. What's coming up next? Actually a really big piece, core piece to the whole thing, which is the ceiling of the car. So I'm going to put together a ceiling which is going to come up here on the sides, and I'm also thinking that I'm going to cover it close to where the chair is. and just have a kind of like a cocoon, a cockpit type of feel to the whole setup. How am I gonna do this? I bought this material from a store here, like a craft store here in UK. I have these panels that I can use. I'll put a link in the description of the video. The material is called West Design Black Foam Board. So foam, it's a very thin foam board, which makes it extremely light, but also durable. So we're gonna mount these on top using also Gorilla Tape. So we have this double sides Gorilla Tape that we're gonna use to kind of like stick the sides. It's probably gonna require a bit of cutting because we're gonna put on this leaning on the screens on the sides, and then there's gonna be a top part as well. So it's gonna be something like that, like there, which looks pretty neat already. But I'm also thinking we're gonna put a ceiling on somewhere there, straight onwards. So something of this size. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm also a bit weary because I want to make sure that I leave enough space on top of the central monitor, because I want the camera there, and also I'm getting some track IR things that I want to try out. So I want to leave some space on top of this for that reason. And yeah, and then there's other bits like I might fill in this gap here with the same material, with the some remaining pieces of material. I'm gonna hide this, and then afterwards I want to buy some of that Alcantara material that I can stick on top of these, so that the whole ceiling is Alcantara, and those pieces in between the wheel that I mentioned are in Alcantara material. So yeah, it's coming together really nicely. I'll probably do a time lapse of putting together the top, and I'll show you the final result afterwards as well. And probably the way I'm gonna do the top is I'll start by using some cardboard material to make sure that it's sized, all of it, and then afterwards cut these into the cardboard shape. So yeah, I'll be back in a second. Alright, so after measuring with the cardboard and cutting out the actual cardboard in the right dimensions, we moved to the actual tiles. And again, these are black foam tiles, so we're in the middle of cutting these. These are the side panels, the two side panels on top. And after cutting, because it's foam, it's very crumbly, to put it like that. We masked it with this black mask tape, which fits nicely on top, in the corners, everywhere. So that's black mask tape over there. The cut is not 100% perfect, but it looks pretty straight and should be fine. Once all the pieces are done for the sides and the front, we will basically merge them together on the rig using Gorilla Tape, and after that we will measure the ceiling and see how that fits. Well, it's coming along really well. All right, so we're done with the box. Ta-da! It's honestly, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, I must admit. But I guess I didn't build it for prettiness. I built it for immersion, and I can say after a few laps on this bad boy that it definitely feels like you're in a car. You have a roof, you can't see left, right, you can't see anything outside the room, can't see like the tall ceiling or anything like that. So yeah, I'm really pleased. It is pretty sturdy. It's not going anywhere, to be honest. We used a lot of Gorilla tape on it. Some of it needs to be properly put together still. Well, I'll probably just give it another I'll probably press it a bit. But yeah, but this is how it looks, made of multiple pieces. It's quite light as well because it's made out of foam. It's quite light. I guess if I would have chose a different material, a heavier material, this whole thing would have been super heavy and definitely putting a lot of stress on the rig, on the stand. But as is, it's extremely light, so there's absolutely no issue with it whatsoever. So yeah, so this is how it looks on the outside. Again, I wasn't going for aesthetics, but the point is that it's pitch dark in there and there's no light coming through the corners or anything like that, and that's all thanks to this Gorilla tape here. Yeah, so it looks really good. Let me make a bit of light in there. Yeah, so here's how it looks inside. All sealed. Pretty cool. Now I'll probably wind up at a later stage putting some Alcantara material on top of it. But to be fair, you can't, when you're with the lights, with the screen on and such, you can't really see the stitches and stuff. And yeah, it's right at the edge of the screen, and basically it's exactly 180 degrees my perfect view, so I see nothing of the rest of the room when I turn my head, when I turn my sight and such. So yeah, pretty cool setup. And the only things that I need to do now is create the other net. I need to figure out where to place the nets. Actually, again, I don't mind it there, but maybe I can do something with the chair and with the movement, and reassemble the wind sim, because I had to take it out because of the whole setup. It was in the way. So yeah, I'll create the other net and mount everything together, and then I'll show you the final result. Yeah, so that's my rig. This is where I'm gonna spend time racing and really enjoying. So the updates are as follows. So managed to finish the whole roof. It's now the final piece. I did have to put a lot of ugly tape here because what tends to happen is the room is quite warm. It gets super hot in here when I'm racing because of that machine over there, but also the seat mover gets quite warm as well, and the actual screens kind of like give out a lot of heat. So these Gorilla tape thingies here started to come down, so I had to put a lot more tape on it. Okay, the other thing that I've attached that wasn't here on the last update is the Philips Hue lights. So now I have two Philips Hue lights on the sides here. They were initially they were placed underneath, just about there. You see that patch there. But what happened was the whole structure started to sag, and you can still see it. It's a tiny bit sagged here on the middle, so it started to sag. So I was getting a bit worried, and I thought about it. I thought about it for a really long time, and then I realized, but hold on, because a while ago I found at the garbage bin thrown away this structure, which is basically two legs. So it's two legs and this pole here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, this pole here. And I measured it and I was like, but hold on, because for some odd reason we actually built this ceiling to be the same height as this pole. So I decided I'm gonna jam the pole in there so it sits like that. And again, it makes the whole rig look even uglier. But there's a couple of things. It makes this extremely sturdy here, so now I don't have to worry about the ceiling just collapsing on me or anything like that. Yeah, so now it's all sturdy and all. And I was able to attach the Hue lights. Now this is not the this is not the final design or attachment. I had to find something to just wrap them here. So I wrapped them to the pole itself. So now they're all steady in there. But I was getting quite a lot of reflection on the screen. So I had to makeshift this ugly blinds here, which they're in front and also on the sides, because I was getting on the sides, I was getting the reflection on the screen over here of the light. But all in all, it works now. It gives me this nice uniform light over the steering wheel and the entire cockpit, which makes for nice shots, video shots when I'm POV and also when I'm streaming. And there's absolutely no reflection on the screens whatsoever from the lights. And the benefit of, is, you might wonder, well, Philips Hue are expensive, why not just get like some random regular lights? So one, they're quite soft light because of the tube like that, so I didn't want it LED strips, because those are kind of harsh lights. But second, I can do this, which helps with setting the mood in the cockpit. So for example, this that I've just placed right here is a rainy track day, and I've actually copied, because with Philips Hue you can upload a picture and it will simulate the overall tone of the picture. So I've uploaded, let me see if I can open it up. Yeah, there you go. So I've uploaded a picture of the track. It was at Spa and the sky and such, and basically gave me this tone, which when I was on track it looks quite the same. So that's one of the biggest benefits, I would say. I can do that. I can set the tone of the light in the cockpit based on what I see on the screen. And then I can also do things like more city lights or like that, or I can do more like nighttime racing with a more blue light and tone it down slightly. And yeah, so that's the benefit. I also just finished the these straps here, and I've attached some branding, some sponsors to make it look a bit more realistic. The way just a quick note on the sponsors. So I got a bunch of these embroidered sponsor they're not stickers, they're just embroidered patches, and you can glue them up like I did and put them on. I got them from eBay for £1 something, almost £2 each, so I got a bunch of them. And I've also stick a couple of them on the actual front there, on the sides. Now I might need to do something about it because they're coming off a bit. But yeah, the other thing that I want to mention, I mounted my net on the chair so that it moves. I don't know if I mentioned this before. The other option would have been to mount it on these poles here and having them closer to the screen. But again, I really like when I brake and basically the nets react to that or move left, right. They kind of like wiggle a bit and such. So I really like that, and it looks really nice on shot. And I also added my old phone as a dash, which I really love. I just placed this yesterday and it fits really nicely. This is the exact ratio that I need FOV wise. And if you see that 6S Plus iPhone fits really nicely as a dashboard in there. It just disappears in the background. And the last thing, I have a camera there. I don't know if it's visible yet. There you go. I have a camera for when I stream and such, and I've mounted this Gorilla Pod, which is pretty sturdy here, with this slide, so I can adjust the camera. When I had it here, it was a bit too close to my head, so you could see a lot from my head. I'm using this when I'm streaming. I'm putting this GoPro on it and streaming because the GoPro has a webcam capability. So when I'm streaming with the GoPro here, filming the cockpit, and with that camera over there, filming my face and such. So that's kind of it. That's the final form. One thing that I'm probably going to do soon is I'm gonna cover these holes here on the sides of the cockpit. I'm gonna use the same material as this. I actually have a few pieces there in the corner, and I'm gonna cover it and then put some patches of Alcantara on top so that it looks nice. It looks like a dashboard and almost looks like an extension of the game's Alcantara dashboard. So yeah, this is my final rig. Again, not the prettiest from the outside. I'll probably avoid taking that many pictures of this from a perspective point of view, more from inside the cockpit. But to be honest, coming from VR, I've spent probably 6 months in sim racing in VR with a Pimax 5K plus. I really wanted my setup to be as immersive as possible, and I can say that this is the closest you could get to what you get in VR. No joke. So yeah, of course it's not 100%, it's not the exact same thing because you don't have the whole 3D view like the parallax effect when you move your head around the cockpit and such. But this is the closest. I am getting something to see if I can fix the parallax effects. I'm getting a head tracking thing to see if I can fix some of the parallax, so when I move my head I can see in the mirror a bit the movement and such. But again, this is the closest you can get of VR. Just it feels so cozy just being in here, having the nets around you, and just engulfing yourself into racing. I feel that the way when I used to put the headset on and just disappear in a completely different world on track, I kind of get almost the exact same feeling here when I have to squeeze in this cockpit, prepare everything, put all of the nets, the seat belt, preparing everything, and getting going on track, it just feels the same, because there's nothing around you. Everything you see is the cockpit, so you're basically in a car from my perspective. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's the tour of my extremely ugly rig, but it is beautiful experience, and that's what matters to me.